going on, King? How's your morning going? How you been doing, man? I haven't been online for like 3 or 4 days now, so what's up? It's evening where you're at? Oh, you live in Egypt? Me too, actually. We're looking at like 4:40 p.m. So yeah, we're almost nighttime to be honest. Got the co-pilot right here. He is upset because it's raining. Yeah, definitely shout out to you, Egypt. Shout out to Egypt for sure. So I'm a little bit recovering from being pissed off. What's going on, Chad? Who was talking today? I'm gonna watch Tulsi Gabbard endorse Trump. I haven't actually watched that today. JD Vance gave his speech today in Pennsylvania. I'm probably gonna watch that too. Tim Walz was in Boston. He spoke pretty shortly while he was there. And then I'm gonna watch a video on. It's a. I don't know if they're gonna copyright strike me for this, but there's a video from Vice about a guy who was locked up by Kamala Harris and he was innocent, and they interview him. So I think that would be kind of interesting to watch. As long as they don't strike my channel down. Hopefully not. Hopefully Vice is cool. But I am recovering from being absolutely pissed off at my neighbor. Yesterday I woke up to the I don't even know what you call these people. It was like animal protection people, some kind of animal law enforcement guys. My cousin was Oakland PD a few years back. He completely loathes Kamala. Exactly. I put out a video today, my thoughts on Kamala. I actually used my good camera for it, but I don't know what to really say about her. There's no policies. That's where it comes down to. Like you can't run and not have any policies. Yeah, I woke up yesterday with these animal like protection people trying to interview me about my dog. Basically what had happened is I was walking my dog like a week and a half ago, late at night, right? Trying to avoid people, just me and the dog out. There was this old Karen and she was running, and she's running up to houses to put her campaign flyer on each house. Pretty much like, here, you throw this away. I'm going to litter on your property. So, my dog's reactive. He's kind of protective for sure. We're walking on the same side of the street, right? Same sidewalk. I see that she's running after us. So, like common sense, I cross the street to get away from her. She runs after me. With my big dogs, like common sense, like you're not going to run after people normally. But she runs after me. And I tell her, hey, my dog's not friendly. Can you keep your distance? I'm trying to get away from you. I crossed the street to give you space. Why are you still invading our space? So, and she keeps trying to invade our space. She's going on about her campaign. She's running for some position, whatever. I don't even know what she was running for, but she's campaigning. And I'm telling her like, hey, my dog is not friendly. Please leave us alone. And eventually got to the point my dog barked at her, which he had every right to bark at her. Some strange lady at night running up to us, invading our space, and being really weird. But, my dog barks. I correct him, and I put him in a sit, and I tell her, like, hey, I don't have time for this. So apparently she called animal control. That's what I was looking for, the animal law enforcement. Animal control. Tried to say that my dog lunged at her. So, yeah, yesterday they were at my door. They wanted to know my side of the story. They could immediately tell that she was being a Karen. The guy was like, I just need to hear your side of the story. You did everything right. My dog didn't bite her. My dog didn't do anything crazy. Will she sue you? She can't sue me. What's she going to sue me for? My dog barking at her after I told her to go away? What's she going to sue me for? My dog was on a leash. It wasn't off a leash. She's invading my space, right? I'm trying to get away from her. She's following me. It's only common sense that at that point the dog's going to sense something off with me because I don't want this lady around me, and she's still trying to follow, right? That's a horrible story. We are all going to have a video our entire lives here soon, just for liability purposes. And that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I needed to almost have my phone out while I'm walking my dog, just because this lady kept following me. And my dog didn't hurt her or anything. What happened? This is the truth of the matter. The lady's running around. She's doing her campaign. She came up to me. She started giving her spiel. I immediately shut her spiel down. I told her, look, my dog's not friendly. I crossed the street to get away from you. And maybe I was a little bit sharp and mean, but my dog is reactive. So I crossed the street to get away from her for a reason. It was pretty obvious that I didn't want to talk, and it hurt her ego. The reality of the situation, her ego got hurt so bad that I didn't want to hear her pitch for politics, that she called animal control on my dog. And I was just so mad yesterday, because if those officers weren't able to use common sense and tell that she was being a Karen, and it was pretty obvious that she's being a Karen, so everything was good there. But let's just say I got a bad officer. They could take my dog, or at least try to do something. And they, animal control, they put dogs down. And my dog didn't do anything. All he did was bark at her like a couple times, as he should, because she's invading our space. I don't know. I was just mad all day yesterday, pretty much. Stewing in my anger. She can't sue me. There's nothing to sue. The dog's on a leash. I had complete control of him. He was in my space, not her space. And I'm still mad about it. I'm still pissed. Yeah, people are crazy. Especially these old Floridians who have nothing better to do but be retired and try to run for office and think that the world revolves around them and that I care about their spiel. Not to be that guy, but that Karen must have been of Caucasian flavor. Absolutely. She was a old white lady. And it's hilarious because I went back to my house and I saw the flyer that she left on my door, and her shit was photoshopped. She cut out all those wrinkles. She must have cut out 20 years just on the photo of her running for office. And at the time, I was being really petty in my headspace. I'm like, I need to go find out where she's campaigning at. I'm going to give the whole like veteran spiel. Just have my dog here, to emotionally help me out. And this lady called law enforcement on me. Just completely trash her campaign. But I was petty in my brain, but I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be that petty. But there's a part of me that wants to do that, Just saying. Yeah, definitely old white lady. nothing better to do but complain. Anywho, enough about that. That's my spiel. So I wanted to check this out. Let me pull it up. No, not that one. Video. This one. There we go. All right, so this is Tulsi Gabbard coming out at a Trump rally, and apparently she's gonna full on endorse Trump. So I haven't heard this yet. I mean, I kind of knew from watching her individual YouTube channel that she's been going Republican for a while, and I figured she was gonna endorse Trump, but this is her actually endorsing Trump. So Trump's out here right now. Let's see what he has to say.
And today I'm honored to officially welcome another true American patriot, a 17-year veteran of the Hawaii Army National Guard, a 4-term Democrat congresswoman, very, very popular, the former vice chair of the National Democratic Party and a 2020 Democrat candidate for the United States presidency. You know, she was a very good candidate. Every time she ran, she was good. She did well. She decided to leave. She couldn't take it anymore, but she is very special. And I didn't know this, but she was a lieutenant colonel. That's not bad. Lieutenant colonel. Not bad.
Yeah, she's a lieutenant
I didn't
colonel.
know that. You know, I just found out. I said, put it down. You got to put that down. That's bigger. That's better than all the other stuff I read. But no, she's a special person. She's got great common sense, great spirit. She loves our country, and she loves the people in this room. Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, please.
There she is. No music, so I don't have to pause the audio, luckily. Where is she?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Aloha.
Oh, yeah.
I know we got Hawaii in the house here. There we go. It is a privilege to be here with all of you, my brothers and sisters in uniform, especially on this day of all days. I had the privilege of joining President Trump this morning at Arlington Cemetery, where he joined 2 Gold Star families and loved ones of Staff Sergeant Hoover and Sergeant G, both of whom were 2 of the 13 killed in the Abbey Gate attack 3 years ago today in Kabul. And I can tell you, as we were there, as he laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, joining these Marines' loved ones, I felt the sorrow that he shared with them in their loss. I felt and saw his sincere appreciation for these servicemen and women who paid the ultimate price and their loved ones who continue to grieve to this day.
It's amazing how they are criticizing Trump for being there. Why would they criticize him? Probably the old political stuff about how he said troops are dumb or whatever that he's said never happened multiple times. Who knows if it actually happened? Probably that, I'm assuming.
This is personal for me, as I know it is for so many of you here. This is real. It's not just words. I first deployed to Iraq in 2005 with the Hawaii Army National Guard as a member of Charlie Med. As those of you who were deployed during that time know, it was the height of the war, and sadly, we took many casualties. And every day we were confronted with that high human cost of war and that sadness as we boarded the plane when we left, that we were leaving some of our brothers and sisters behind, only to lose others when we got home to suicide. So I mean what I say when I share with you that I know that President Trump understands the grave responsibility that a president and commander-in-chief bears for every single one of our lives. Whether you're
So I think this is what you're talking about. Let me pull it up here. So I found an article. It says Trump team pushes back on reported confrontation at Arlington Cemetery. Says the Trump campaign is blaming an Arlington National Cemetery official for a reported confrontation during the former president's visit there on Monday to make the anniversary of Kabul airport attack that killed 13 U.S. service members amid the withdrawal from Afghanistan. The incident, first reported by NPR, stemmed from the presence of a photographer with former President Trump's camp and broader concerns about election-related activities in a military cemetery. So what were they trying to say? Okay, federal law prohibits political campaign or election-related activities within National Guard military cemeteries to include photographers, content creators, or any other persons attending for purposes or in direct support of partisan political candidates. I actually didn't know that. I didn't know that you couldn't film like that for your campaign inside the cemetery. I knew obviously being in the military, we weren't allowed to like go to a rally in uniform or show that we endorsed any candidate or be like critical of the president or anything like that. But I didn't know you couldn't actually put on an event inside of the cemetery. So that's new. NPR, citing an anonymous source, reported a cemetery official tried to stop Trump staffers from filming and photographing in an area of the cemetery where soldiers recently killed in Afghanistan and Iraq are buried, known as Section 60. The source told NPR that Trump's staffers pushed the official aside when they tried to stop campaign officials from entering the arena. Okay, so they actually had a little conflict. The fact is that a private photographer was permitted on the premises, and for whatever reason, an unnamed individual, clearly suffering from a mental health episode, decided to physically block members of President Trump's team during a very solemn ceremony. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of iffy. I don't know, huh? I don't really have a take on that yet. Yeah. What's going on, Killer? How you doing, man?
You're a soldier, you're an airman, a Marine, sailor, or a coastie. He keeps us in his heart in the decisions that he makes. We saw this through his first term in the presidency, when he not only didn't start any new wars, he took action to de-escalate and prevent wars. He exercised the courage that we expect from our commander-in-chief in exhausting all measures of diplomacy, having the courage to meet with adversaries.
You never hear Biden or Harris going to them? That's true. I haven't seen them there in a while or doing anything like that, but I honestly just didn't know that you couldn't do political engagements inside a cemetery like that, which makes sense, you know? Like, to have a confrontation like that, though, about it, I don't know. That's weird. Yeah, Tulsi?
Dictators, allies, and partners alike in the pursuit of peace, seeing war as a last resort. The truth is, as we head towards our decision as a country in November, the same cannot be said about Kamala Harris. In fact, the opposite is true, and we're living through this reality today as this administration has us facing multiple wars on multiple fronts and regions around the world, and closer to the brink of nuclear war than we ever have been before. This is one of the main reasons why I'm committed to doing all that I can to send President...
I hate the hate Tulsi gets. Yeah, and the only reason she's getting the hate now is because she flopped on her party, which her party is crazy. I don't blame her. I feel like when I was younger, I was probably more of a Democrat too, but that party has changed so much that they have pushed people into being Republicans. And so now, of course, she's pretty much staying true to who she is, and now she's pretty much a Republican. So now she's going to get hate from the party of power. Apparently, neither Biden nor Harris has anything scheduled that day, but yet they said they couldn't make it work. Yeah, they haven't really done anything since the DNC at all. There's been no events. There's been no campaigns. There's been no interviews. They're taking quite a lot of time off. There hasn't even been a White House press briefing. There's nothing going on. Like, we have not watched a press briefing for at least like a week now. There just hasn't been one.
Trump back to the White House where he can once again serve us as our commander-in-chief. Because I am confident that his first task will be to do the work to walk us back from the brink of war. We cannot be prosperous unless we are at peace. And we can't live free as long as we have a government that is retaliating against its political opponents and undermining our civil liberties, weaponizing our very institutions against those they deem as a threat. Kamala Harris has done this over the last 3.5 years. She won't hesitate to continue that if she is elected as president. President Trump has been their first and foremost target in this because they don't want us as voters to even have the option to vote for him. I've been their most recent target, added to a secret domestic terror watch list after exposing the truth about what kind of dangers we would face if Kamala Harris is elected as president.
Part of that, when she's talking about dangers, the thing that I'm really concerned about is the free speech thing. There are people literally in America, in this country, that don't believe in free speech anymore. Even if the speech is completely stupid, they want these people to actually be censored for misinformation. And I don't get it where these people are coming from. We're just raised differently, but I always thought like Americans were all for free speech. That's what we were always taught. We were always taught America. Yeah, first thing you think of, free speech. You can say whatever you want, granted within reason. You know, people always say like you can't run into a building and scream fire. Duh, I get that. You know what I'm talking about here. But yeah, when you think of how school raised us, it was always America. We have free speech. You know, the government can't oppress us. We can say what we want. And now there's people that literally want to censor other people for misinformation. Even if it is misinformation, why wouldn't you combat that with more speech? I don't get it. This country's so just weird from what it used to be. Nobody believes in the American dream anymore. Literally, like I walk outside and I talk to people and it's like it seems like there's no hope. I don't get it. I don't know what's wrong with these people.
We as Americans must stand together to reject this anti-freedom culture of political retaliation and abuse of power. We can't allow our country to be destroyed by politicians who will put their own power ahead of the interests of the American people, our freedom, and our future.
Yes, their own power. So actually, the old Zuckerberg of Facebook and Meta, released his memo, 2 days ago, saying that the Biden administration censored him, forced him to censor his own platform, and he caved. He caved on him. Censored Facebook. He straight up admitted it. So it's no longer a debate about them censoring all of these social media platforms, even though it hasn't been for a while. But he said that was one of his great regrets, that he folded to the Biden administration and censored his own platform. I'm sure they came after him with a lot of hefty threats. Killer says it's the fact checking too. Yeah, and even you don't know the fact checking if that's correct or not. You know, it depends on what source it's coming from. But you see like a lot of places like PolitiFact. You know, obviously they have their own spin as people on the left, and it's very clear that it's not an actual fact checking platform. It's funny how all the liberal media is now coming out saying that Zuckerberg meant to say the Trump administration for censoring him. Oh no. I read the memo, the actual memo. That's not what he meant to say. We know for sure that's what the Biden administration was doing. And it just seems so American for people to jump behind that. I don't get how anybody, even if you are a Biden fan, you should still be able to go, okay, you shouldn't be censoring free speech. You could say an opinion, and 9 out of 10 you'll get fact checked. Yeah, you definitely see that on X. Even on X, you get it too. And a lot of times, I've noticed on X, even the fact checking there isn't even right. And that's probably more right wing, because these fact checking things are it's just a person. It's a person inputting their biased opinion into something. It's not usually looking at actual data and facts.
I am proud to stand here before you today, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. If you love our country, as I do, if you cherish peace and freedom as we do, I invite you to join me in doing all that we can to save our country and elect President Donald J. Trump and send him back to the White House to do the tough work of saving our country and serving the people.
And it's just weird because even she just endorsed Trump, and she's clearly still a classical Democrat. She is a Dem. And to see her endorse Trump is just like, what world are we living in where the Democrats are so far shifting their platform that they're pushing all of these people out of their party? You definitely see like RFK leaving, you see Tulsi leaving, and many more people that are just, they don't align with the Democrats anymore. Trump wants free speech. Biden-Harris tried to silence RFK and they failed. Yeah, and I saw something this morning too where he's not able to be taken off a ballot in one of the swing states. So they think that's going to still hurt Trump's campaign even after RFK endorsing him. Kudos to Twitter, at least having community notes. Yeah, definitely Twitter seems more fair. I'll give them that. But still, at the end of the day, it's just a person. It's a person who's biased. Well, they say that old Democrat policies are the new right. Yeah? You see Republicans moving to Democrat. Absolutely. You see people just dropping out of this party.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
And Trump's just picking up all the supporters everywhere he goes.
Well, thank you, Tulsi. I heard that might happen, but I wasn't sure. And it happened because she's really an amazing person. So I look forward to working with Tulsi and everybody in this room, actually. And as Tulsi mentioned early this morning, Tulsi and I were at Arlington National Cemetery with the families of service members who lost their lives in the catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan. Not that we withdrew, but the way they did it. We were going to do it with dignity and strength. We were in the process of getting out. We would have never given up Bagram, one of the biggest air bases in the world, 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. We gave it up. We gave them everything. China took it over. China now occupies it. Can you imagine? The longest, most powerful runways, I think 8 feet of concrete down. And we gave it all up, spent billions and billions of dollars years ago building it, 1 hour away. And we're gone. And now China occupies it. And today I'm honored.
There we go. Most of the rhinos have always been Democrats, but played the Republican card to get elected. Mitt Romney did that in Utah, where I'm from. Yeah, and I understand a little bit of playing the political game to kind of get in a position. I understand that, but these are like true leaving their like primary principles that are American. Like I never would have thought in my lifetime people would be arguing if you should have free speech. As an American, I never thought that would have been an issue. Sure, they're like abortion, gun rights, all that stuff. Never free speech. I thought that was just so American, so ingrained in us that this would never be a topic. Economics, sure. Tenant rights issues, of course. But free speech? Never thought I would see that in my lifetime. So I'm gonna try this video and see if they actually let me play it, because I'm super curious to see what this guy has to say about getting locked up by Kamala. I miss America where hurt feelings were just that, hurt feelings, not lawsuits and policy change. Yeah, or dumb Karens calling the cops on you for a dog that didn't even bite her. What do you think about tampons in men's bathroom? I'm not for it. Dude, it's complicated. So complicated. I think as an American, you can do whatever you want. If a dude wants to put on a dress, go for it, man. I support you. If you think you're a man and you're a woman and you want to like try and have a different pronoun because of that, maybe I'll play along. Maybe I don't know. But I'm for you being able to do that. Just like I don't want the clothing police coming around to these people because of whatever, right? That's American, right? You should be able to do whatever you want. But tampons in men's bathroom makes no sense. There's no reason to have tampons in a male restroom. It just doesn't make sense. I don't get it. If there was an actual justified reason that somebody can explain to me, I don't get it. I just don't get it. And they come out and they champion this idea. I don't get it. I don't know what they're trying to say. It's common sense that men don't menstruate. Like, what are you doing? And the issues are so hypercharged that I kind of stay out of them. I don't know what they're even trying to say. Are they trying to say that men menstruate? I can see the reason for tampons on men's locker rooms in high school, but that will all be a waste of money. You're telling me that high school will not throw those or keep tearing down the dispenser? What's the reason? Like, what reason would you have tampons in a boy's locker room? Why? We're trying to pretend and play this game like boys have a cycle, and they don't. That's when people start talking about clown world, that is clown world. And I didn't see that like, but I just caught it now. So thank you for that like. Well, they say if they ran short in the women's bathroom, a woman can go in there and get one from the men's. Why wouldn't they take the same supply of tampons and put it in the woman's bathroom? That makes no sense to me. If you have the tampons, give it to the people who need them. How is that even an argument? What are these people talking about? It's like communism for tampons. We need to give everybody tampons so nobody can have tampons. That's stupid. And then I'll share my tampon with you that I don't need. These people talking about, my God. They're Democrat voters. Yeah, but I want to believe that they're not stupid and they have maybe a reason. Hopefully there's something, you know. I can see the reason for one or two trans people. Not saying I agree with it. And don't women usually supply their own products? Why does the school do that? Okay, hey, thanks for the follow there on Twitch. I appreciate that. I don't get a lot of views on Twitch, so that's very cool. But I'm for the school supplying the tampons for women. I think that that's a great idea. Yeah, they probably have their own certain kind that they like and prefer and pay for, but maybe there's a case where, I don't know, they didn't think their period was going to start, and then now they have them in in the women's bathroom there, and it's just good, right? That's fine. But for the one or two trans people, which, how often do you actually see trans people? Like in your everyday life, how often do you see them? Not very often. So to actually supply them there doesn't make sense. There's not, the numbers aren't really there to call for a change where we actually need to put tampons in the other restrooms. It's not there. It's not a big issue, you know, to where we need to mandate this in schools that they have to have them. No ads here on Twitch for now. Yeah, I'm not monetized on Twitch or YouTube. This is all for fun for me right now. That's all it is. Not often over here in the UK. Yeah, when I think of my high school, there were 0 trans people. We had gay people. There were no trans people. Now, granted, that was a little bit of a while ago, you know, but still. Schools should not supply tampons in the men's bathroom. It's like saying men should be allowed to use women's public restrooms. I just don't get it. Like, what? I don't get it. I don't know, man. Anyway, I'm going to try and watch this video. Hopefully they don't give me a strike. It just depends on how cool Vice is feeling they're going to be. And Vice used to be really cool when they first came out, and then they went super hard left during the Trump administration and were not cool. And they're trying to come back. They're trying to be cool again, so maybe they won't give me a copyright strike. That's how that works, right? Yeah. Okay, so this is a Vice interview. This guy, from the title, what I've read, was locked up by Kamala Harris. Supposedly he was innocent. And so I want to hear what he has to say. I want to hear what happened to him. And because we hear this from the right all the time, like, oh, she locked away all these black people, you know, Kamala Harris is so bad. But I'd like to actually hear from one of the guys who went through this. You're from New York, in other words. What's your view on Trump? What's this guy said? Sweep. Kamala Harris did not lock up people who committed a murder in California as California Attorney General. Well, that's what this guy is saying. He's saying that he was convicted of murder. I'm assuming that's what he's going to say leading into this. Obviously, they're leading into saying that Kamala Harris locked him up. So this is the interview with the guy. We can listen. We can see what he actually has to say. You can decide if it was justified or not. We'll just get into his case. I get it. Projects are bad. What I want to know is, what was he charged with? What happened? Does he feel like, obviously he feels like he was innocent. So I don't like Kamala Harris. What has that got to do with thinking logically? I don't know. Y'all fight that out. I just want to know, what was this guy charged with? And he feels like he wasn't charged, or he was innocent. Be the savior of the black community. Obviously those black folks didn't feel like people were relating to them. Maybe they were charging them more than they should have. They get a black lady in there and they're championing it, and they're like, yeah, finally someone who gets us. And then now they have Kamala, and apparently she's just charging everybody the same way. What'd you miss? So this guy, the only thing they have on him is supposedly there was a witness that saw him kill this other guy. But he's saying this witness was not very credible. That led to charges for the thing to actually go to trial, but he hasn't got into what actually happened at the trial. All right. After more than 6 years in prison, Jamal successfully appealed his case and was acquitted in a new trial. Damn, he lost 6 years of his life. You know how much you can accomplish in 6 years if you're actually grinding? Yeah, it sounds like he was framed. Oof. Oh, they took me down on YouTube. Bastards. They got me. They got me. Now what? It says your stream has been temporarily blocked because we detected video belonging to whatever. Okay, temporarily unblock it. How about that? How long does it take to get unblocked? How about that? I don't know how you bring it back up. These bastards. Come on. Let me see if I can get it back up with my phone or something. Stream unavailable. Stream suspended for policy violations. I wonder if that actually got me a copyright strike. Hopefully not. Let me see. Oof. Big oof, guys. Big oof. No, I don't see anything. Yeah, I don't see anything. The reason you were blocked on YouTube is because the people from YouTube that monitor content did not like your content because it doesn't say what they want to hear. Oh, maybe. Maybe that. I mean, I stopped playing the video. That should bring it back up, right? It says temporarily blocked. So let's bring it back up, you know? They didn't take my stream down. It just said temporarily blocked. I think it's coming back now, actually. I don't know if they kicked Chad off or what, though. There we go. We're back. Guess my phone shows us back. Fine, I'll come over to Twitch. Yeah, man, they took my stream down. The stream just went dead on my... Yeah, they blocked me. YouTube and their stupid policies. How dare they? We're back, though. We're back. Surely they're not gonna block a political speech here, though, right? All right. Chad with the double sub. I like politics as well, but that does not mean that I follow elections in India. Okay. I don't know if this is gonna hurt my stream over here on YouTube. Like they're gonna stop showing it to people or what that means, but whatever. We're gonna roll with it, we're gonna move on. Today's gonna be a Twitch day then, I guess. All about Twitch. All right, so here is JD Vance. Let me hit this button here. Wait. YouTube might block a political speech if they don't like what the person in the speech is saying because it does not agree with what YouTube wants you to hear. Doesn't Meta own YouTube? Maybe it's Zuck trying to make it... no. YouTube's owned by Google. So they're separate. Facebook has their own video platform that I heard people are actually do make a living off of, but it's pretty it's just not as popular. Anyway. So here is JD Vance. He is in Pennsylvania giving his speech today. I kind of want to hear what he has to say. Anything new? What's going on in the political environment? I'm going to skip forward to the point that he actually comes out. here. Nope, that's still not it. Where is he? There he is. Right here.
A few notes of gratitude, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about why we believe in American trucking and American industry in this country, and why President Trump and I are going to fight for the truckers. But before we do that, and then we're going to talk some questions from the media here. But before we do that, let me just make a few words of thanks here. So we have Macy Kantz, who owns a small business here in town. Where's Macy Kantz at? Can you wave to us?
Oh no,
Macy,
he just came out.
being here.
It's right here. Here, I'll show you. This is when he just came out.
It is great to be in Erie, Pennsylvania. God bless y'all. Now, here's what we're going to do. First of all, I want to offer a few notes of gratitude, and then I'm going to talk a little bit.
Jared says, fight for the trucker union. Hell yeah, let's do it, brother.
About why we believe in American trucking and American industry in this country, and why President Trump and I are going to fight for the truckers. But before we do that, and then we're going to talk some questions from the media here. But before we do that, let me just make a few words of thanks here. So we have Macy Kantz, who owns a small business here in town. Where's Macy Kantz at? Can you wave to us? Macy, thank you so much for being here, and thanks for all your support. Let's give it up for Macy. We have Dan Doyle, owner of Reliance Well Services. Where's Dan? Dan, thank you, man. We have Slippery Rock Mayor, Marine, and most importantly, fellow JD Longo. And we've, of course, got Harold Bender and his beautiful family, the owner of Hardinger Trucking. Thank you, Harold. And I believe, Harold, you go by H, is that correct? All right, I'll make sure to call you H. So thank you all for being here, and we're here to celebrate American trucking and here to celebrate American industry and remind everybody just how good our truckers could do if we get better leadership in the White House, which is why we're going to send Donald J. Trump back to the Oval Office.
All right.
Now, we're here, of course, in the great state of Pennsylvania, where, I don't know if you knew this, I just learned, 1 in 15 jobs in the state of Pennsylvania relies on the trucking industry. That's amazing. And yet we have a Vice President, Kamala Harris, who wants to be president, who thinks that our truckers, we ought to put them out of business, and that our truckers should all learn computer code. That's what Kamala Harris believes about the trucking industry. Because if we've learned anything about the last 3.5...
Slippery Rock, what a cool name. I know nothing about JD Vance other than he might be involved with Project 2025 somehow. I think the Democrat side were saying that he wrote the foreword for it. I'm going to look it up for you. We'll figure out what's actually going on in real time.
Years, I think it's that we have not enough truckers and way too many computer coders. Let's support the trucking industry in this country, Kamala, not put it out of business. And if anybody needs to get a new job and learn to code, it's Kamala Harris. Ain't that right? Let's throw out of office. So we have a different message, President Trump and I, we have a different message. Our truckers are irreplaceable, and we are going to fight for them every single day. And that's why we're here today, and that's why we're going to keep on doing stuff the right way. Now, here's the thing that I think it's important for those, all of you get this, but I think a lot for especially our friends in the press and those watching at home. Look, if you don't have American trucking, nothing works. How do you think the groceries get to the grocery stores? From American truckers. How do you think that the things that you buy at Target or any other store, how do they get there? They get there with American truckers. We do not have an economy unless American truckers are able to do what they do so well. And we have a president right now and a vice president, Kamala Harris, who wants to raise the price of diesel, raise the price of gasoline, and have every trucker in this country drive an electric vehicle, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we have a lot in the state of Ohio. We have a lot of great trucking companies, just like you do here in the state of Pennsylvania. And I was meeting with some local truckers when I was in D.C. at my Senate office. This is probably 6 or so months ago. And what struck me
So
is not
fact checking in real time. This is from the Politic, I think is who wrote this shit. Yeah, our Politics, TNR, whoever this company is. Obviously, they're pretty left leaning, so take that with a grain of salt. But this is what their claims are. It says, read JD Vance's violent forward to Project 2025 leaders' new book. And so basically, they start out the article saying that Trump is saying that he has nothing to do with it. He didn't know anything about Project 25. He doesn't know what they're talking about. But then he selects JD Vance as his running mate, and then they kind of spiel into here about how Vance did write the forward for Project 2025, and obviously it has some weird shady stuff in there. So that's kind of what I'm not going to get into details of what's actually in the forward, but this is what they're saying. They're saying that he's connected to Project 25 because of actually, I didn't bring the article up. This is the article here in case you guys want to see it, the one that I'm reading. It's Politics, this TNR publication. But that's the gist of what they're saying. They're saying, well, this guy wrote the forward and you picked him as your running mate. So obviously you do have a little bit to do with Project 25 if the dude who wrote the forward is in the book, right? So that's their claim.
Just that they were frustrated by Kamala Harris's policies. What struck me is how little Kamala Harris knew about the business of trucking in this country. In fact, I guess one of them asked a senior administration official, they said, well,
without trucking, there wouldn't be production delivered to supermarkets. Absolutely. That's what I was thinking. How would we survive without trucking infrastructure? So if Musk is an electric guy, why isn't he supporting Harris for fully electric America? Well, I can tell you that is because Musk is really worried about free speech and censorship and all of that, yada, yada. You can kind of listen to that in his interview on X with Trump. The reasons why he doesn't like Harris is pretty obvious at this point, that it's most of it's to do with censorship. And the Democrats kind of point him as this evil billionaire guy, blah, 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 blah. Trump's going to do tax breaks for the rich, and then Elon's going to make all this money because of it. That's the narrative. But as far as the trucking thing goes on, I'm going to look that up too, because I don't know what they're trying to say here, that Harris isn't for the trucking union. I haven't even heard anything about that. Thank you so much for that. You were in the sub from me for sure. Hey, thank you for the sub.
You guys want us to all drive electric trucks. That doesn't make any sense. And they said, no, no, no. We're going to get electric trucks to the point where they're the same price as a normal diesel truck. And so I guess these truckers asked Kamala Harris's officials, well, how much does an electric truck cost right now? And they said about $150,000. And all of you are laughing, but the reason you're laughing, to the friends of the media, is the reason they're laughing is an electric truck right now costs $400,000. If you force all these great truckers to buy electric trucks instead of the trucks they're currently using, you're going to make this inflation crisis way worse than it currently is. You think groceries are bad? Wait until Kamala Harris makes every American trucker drive an electric truck. You think car prices are bad? Wait until Kamala Harris makes everybody buy a Chinese-made electric vehicle. And you think housing...
So that, I mean, he pretty much said it right there. That's what he's talking about. And I think that... I don't think that's something that Harris has actually said. I'm going to look that up. I think what he's getting at is more the law that went out in California that was going to require people to have an electric vehicle at some date in the future. It was like 2030 or something. That was legit. I think he's more speaking on that and how that wouldn't be feasible for the trucker union. I don't think that's something that Harris actually said. I'm sure Trump and Musk will sort something out with the electric stuff. Yeah, they're already working on it right now. RFK will help Trump deal with the middle class. Yeah, so let me see if Harris has actually said anything about any of these truck issues.
Prices are bad. Wait until Kamala Harris makes it impossible for our truckers to get construction materials to the house building site. Kamala Harris's policies are a disaster, ladies and gentlemen, not just for truckers, but for everybody who relies on them, which is everybody. And I think we have to have some compassion for the people who've been affected by all of her terrible policies. It's one of the reasons why we've got to get Donald Trump back in the White House. Because every single day, Hard-working Pennsylvanians, truckers, and everybody else, they're working harder and harder, but they're falling further behind. And let's just tick through some of the information here. In the state of Pennsylvania, you are $11,400 poorer than you were on average than when Donald Trump left office. What that means is you have to spend almost $12,000 to get the same stuff now that you could buy 3.5 years ago. Is that prosperity? Absolutely not. Under Kamala Harris's policies.
All right, so I'm going to shut JD Vance down in great fact-checking ways that we do here on this channel. So this is Fox News, so you would expect it to be on the right side. It's actually Fox Business, but Fox News nonetheless. And it says, Harris campaign says Dem nominee does not support electric vehicle mandate in attempt to flip the script. So it come down here, and it says, in a fact-check email, Harris campaign rapid response director Omar wrote that Senator J.D. Vance would undoubtedly lie about things like that Harris wants to force every American to own an electric vehicle. Fact, Vice President Harris does not support an electric vehicle mandate. Donald Trump rallied against the Inflation Reduction Act while the Biden-Harris administration oversaw the creation of tens of thousands of new clean energy jobs in Michigan and provided groundbreaking subsidies and tax credits for electric vehicles. So Fox News here is even saying that this isn't true. I again think it came from that bill in California, and they just kind of assume they're all on the left, so they all agree with the same thing. You know, similar to Project 25, if the running mate is writing the forward, then that must mean that Trump supports it. So it could be true depending on who you want to believe. You think these people are all liars or how that's going to go down. But just looking through this, you know, she doesn't support that. So I'm going to go and say he's lying here.
In Pennsylvania, the average worker's wages have gone down by 6%. So people are working harder and harder. Things cost more at the grocery store. Things cost more everywhere. And our workers aren't getting the wage increases they need to keep up. Donald Trump has a different idea. Donald Trump thinks we ought to have more take-home pay. Donald Trump thinks that our truckers ought to be empowered to do their jobs. And Donald Trump thinks that Kamala Harris ought to get the hell out of the office and let somebody who knows what they're doing. Now, I want to just talk about the contrast a little bit because let's really discuss the details, the difference between Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump. We know, of course, Donald Trump had a lot of great successes in the Oval Office, and we know Kamala Harris has not had a whole lot of successes, but let's talk about why. Let's talk about the policy details. Now, here, President Trump's view is very simple. We're going to end this terrible affordability crisis, and we're going to increase take-home pay with three simple things. Number one, we're going to stop 25 million illegal aliens coming into this country competing for wages against American workers. We're going to stop ridiculous job-killing regulations like the EV mandate. Let's buy American.
So I was trying to bring up that Financial Times article, but I couldn't find it. If you want to put the title of the article in there, I'll search for it. But then, well, not everything Fox News says is true. Sometimes I like what Fox says, and sometimes I don't. Why would J.D. Vance lie? Well, why would he lie? So he can get elected, obviously. Does that mean Fox News is the end-all be-all? No, man, I would agree with you. They're all heavily flawed. So yeah, may I ask, do you support Kamala or Trump or undecided? I'm more leaning towards Trump for sure. And I put out a video on my YouTube today. If you want to look at it, it basically just comes down to Trump actually has his policies on his website and Kamala doesn't. I don't think you can actually vote for Kamala because she doesn't have anything in writing what she actually wants to do. I don't think that's a thing you can actually vote for, you know? Yeah. So anyway.
American-made stuff, not Chinese-made stuff.
And I just saw we got another like in there. So hell yeah, let's do that. Pump up them likes on them YouTubes. All right,
and number three, we are going to drill, baby, drill. We got plenty of energy right here in Pennsylvania. Let's get it out of the ground with Pennsylvania workers. Now, here's the other thing that Kamala Harris wants to do. Kamala Harris thinks that instead of deporting illegal immigrants, we should be giving them amnesties. Does that sound like a good idea? Kamala Harris thinks that instead of unleashing Pennsylvania energy workers, we ought to buy energy from Iran and every tin-pot dictator all over the world. Is that a good idea? And Kamala Harris thinks that instead of unleashing American energy and American creativity and American business, we ought to tax you guys more to send your money to communist China to buy electric vehicles. Is that a good idea? So is it a good idea to give Kamala Harris a promotion? No, we're going to do what Donald Trump loves to do to people who don't do their jobs. You are fired, Kamala Harris. You're out of there. It's done. Now, the president actually just called me. I was sitting back there backstage, and the president called me, and he said, you know, the crazy thing is, JD, that Kamala Harris, she's pretending that she agrees with us on everything. And if you look at her campaign the past week and a half, she pretends that she agrees with Donald J. Trump on every issue. She is running a copycat campaign. And I said, Mr. President, I think I figured out what's going on. She wants my job. She's realizing that they don't have any chance. She's going to ditch Tim Walz, and she wants to run alongside Donald Trump. She's pretending she agrees with you on everything. But we can't let her pretend, ladies and gentlemen. We have to remind people of the real record. Kamala Harris wants to defund the police.
So I pulled up the article. Chad says she's really piggybacking off Trump's ideas, which absolutely is true. Totally agree with you there. So I got this article. I pulled up the one that you sent in here. What is it? Person. And so I'm looking through this. So far, it's a lot of blah 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 about her not being supported by the truckers, Teamsters guys, and I'm looking through it. I don't see anything about her mandating EVs, which was the main claim that JD Vance was making here. I see that they are supporting Trump. That's what most of the article says in here, but it doesn't say anything about EVs being mandated, which is the main claim that JD Vance is making here. I don't know. Maybe I overlooked it, but I'm looking through here. I don't see anything about EVs. Yeah, it's just them saying that they don't support her. That's it.
Kamala Harris wants to ban fracking. Kamala Harris wants to further entrench the EV mandate that sends your tax dollars to China instead of buying American-made cars from American workers. Kamala Harris has said all these things on videotape, and as much as she wants to pretend she agrees with Donald Trump, I have a suggestion, Kamala Harris. If you would like to enact the policies of Donald Trump, you could do it right now because you are the vice president. So do it right now. Don't pretend you're going to do it in 6 months.
JD Vance said that Teamsters don't support Trump. Yeah, I agree with that. That's not the argument that I was making. He's saying the reason why they don't support Kamala is because Kamala said that she was going to mandate electric vehicles. Nowhere have I found did Kamala actually say that. You're right, they don't support Kamala, but the reason that he gave, like Trump kind of fashion, is usually to the extreme doom and gloom kind of thing, where I'm not finding any evidence that she said that.
Now, I've been in politics for all of 2 years, and I've met some pretty shameless politicians, but I've never met anybody who, as the sitting vice president, could stand before a crowd and say, on day one, we're going to tackle the affordability crisis affecting American families. It's like, Kamala, day one was 1,300 days ago. You've been the vice president for 3.5 years. If you want to get to work, start now. Don't make promises. Start doing it now.
What's that? Oh, that's another like right there.
And here's the final
like
big difference between...
My stream over there on YouTube is kind of like being throttled down a little bit from the last video.
Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. You know, I've been asked by the media, I've been attacked by the Harris campaign because I believe in a very simple principle, that our tax policy ought to reward American workers and American businesses, and I know Donald Trump agrees. So here is the contrast here. Donald Trump wants to cut your taxes. Donald Trump wants to cut taxes on American businesses hiring American workers, and he wants to raise tariffs on the Chinese and everybody who's trying to rely
That's true. He's always said that. I've watched a lot of Trump speeches. That's definitely his plan. Apparently my data plan doesn't like Twitch. Had to jump back over to YouTube. YouTube's back up. We back in business over there on YouTube. It looks like the stream is a little bit being pressed down in the algorithm. I don't see that there's actually anybody over there watching my YouTube stream right now. Some people are coming in and then dipping, but yeah, I think the whole watching that last video kind of killed YouTube.
On Chinese slave labor instead of American hardworking people.
But the stream's up.
And Kamala Harris wants to raise your taxes and cut down on the tariffs that are making it harder for people to cheat and use Chinese labor instead of American workers. It's ridiculous.
Now, specifically, he's saying that Kamala wants to raise taxes. She's not leading that in her campaign. Obviously, she's not saying, I'm going to raise your taxes going around. She's saying that she's going to cut, or she's saying that she's going to raise taxes for corporations. And I think that's how she plans to make all this money to give away to people, because that's her entire campaign. She said, I'm going to give you all this money. I'm going to give you these housing grants and all of this bullshit that obviously is going to raise your taxes. People hear that. They hear, oh, I'm going to get a grant for my house or whatever else she's selling, and they don't immediately think that their taxes are going to be raised, but they absolutely are going to go up. She thinks that she's going to pay for all this stuff by taxing corporations. Hell to the nah. That's not going to work. Those corporations are going to bail on America so fast if they know that they can make more profits in different regions. That's just how business works, baby. That's not going to work. Wouldn't raising tariffs on overseas imports increase U.S. Union supplies? It depends. Like the thought is that having tariffs overseas is going to increase the price cost here. Like we're going to end up paying for these tariffs anyways. That's the Harris argument, which could be, that could happen for sure. We'd have to actually see what happens, but yeah, it could be. And obviously as prices go up, yeah, that would increase supply because people don't want to buy as much, as in demand for the US made products. Well, it's not the US made products that he's talking about. He's talking about us buying overseas products. At least that's what I think he was running with. All the products that are actually coming into the US, I think he was trying to do more tariffs on that. And a lot of the trades that he's trying to make, basically if he's not getting a good deal, he's saying he's going to do more tariffs as well as like a punishment to these people. But yeah, dog is back. Dog is back.
Why don't we make it easier to hire American and harder to rely on Chinese slave labor? That's the Donald Trump approach, and I know every single person here agrees with it. So let me leave you with one final thought here, and then I want to kick it over to our illustrious media to ask some questions.
Hell yeah.
It's very simple, my friends. Look, we have the best country in the entire world. I've been flying...
America.
USA! USA! USA!
I've been flying all over the country, doing events like this all over the country with my beautiful wife. Isn't she lovely? Sorry to embarrass you, Usha, but you bring your wife to Erie, Pennsylvania, you got to embarrass her a little bit, right? And all I can think about when we fly into a new place or we drive to a new place is what a beautiful country this is. I'm a Buckeye, and yesterday I was in Big Rapids, Michigan, and it was hard to admit it, but Big Rapids, Michigan is a beautiful place. Erie, Pennsylvania is a beautiful place. We have got the best natural resources and the most beautiful countryside of any country on the face of the earth. And we've got something better than that. We've got the best history. We've got the best traditions. We have got the best workers right here in Pennsylvania. The only thing, thank you. The only thing that is broken about this country is its leadership. There is nothing that we cannot do as a people, nothing that we cannot do as a people. So let's send a message right here in Erie, Pennsylvania, all over the state of Pennsylvania, and all over the country. We are sick of the broken leadership of Kamala Harris. we're going to get a president who is equal to the challenge of this country and deserves to be the leader of its people. That's Donald J. Trump. And together, we're going to put him back in the White House. God bless you all. Thank you.
No. You said you're going to take questions.
And thank you for having me in Pennsylvania. Now, I know we have some reporters here.
Okay.
If you would, let's start with the local reporters. We'll have them ask some questions, then we'll kick it over to some national folks. Sir.
There we go.
Ma'am, I don't need a teleprompter. I've actually got thoughts in my head, unlike Kamala Harris.
Good evening, Senator. Thanks for coming to Erie County, Pennsylvania.
Phil.
Philip Ward from Erie News Now. Senator,
Phil's one of the good guys, right?
Senator, how do you relate to Erie County voters, and what does a potential Trump-Vance administration mean for us locally?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Driving through Erie, Pennsylvania, I could not help but think how much this reminds me of my hometown in Middletown, Ohio, right? And this, of course, is a town with a proud manufacturing and proud steelmaking tradition. By the way, why don't we keep American steel companies owned by America, right? But a proud manufacturing tradition, and all I could think driving through Erie is this is a beautiful place, but it has been left behind by a lot of stupid policies from people like.
She has not said anything on taxes, so we have to look at what she said when running for president in 2019. The article is called How Radical Will Kamala Harris's Tax Policy Be? Look at your past by Daniel. So actually, she said at the DNC that she was going to tax corporations. I promise you, I'm not making that up. That's pretty much every speech that she says. She says she's going to tax corporations. Her whole spiel is that big corporations aren't fair or paying their share, and that they're somehow getting breaks by evil Trump and not paying, and then the lower to middle class are paying all the taxes, blah, 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 blah. That's literally her platform. That's what she runs as. That I believe you on by National Review does not. How are they going to argue that? That's literally what she says. I have thoughts in my head, unlike Kamala Harris. Kind of funny. Yeah, that was pretty funny. That's witty. It's like, I don't need a teleprompter. I can do this on my own. Oh, look at that article, though. Let me pull it up.
Kamala Harris. And let's be honest, it's not just Kamala Harris. There was a consensus in this country for 30 years that we didn't need to make our own stuff. And so now everything from a lot of the steel that we rely on to the drugs that we put in the bodies of our children, from ibuprofen to antibiotics, it's made by our adversaries instead of made by American workers. Wasn't that stupid? And the one person in politics in my lifetime who said, no more of this, we want to rely on Pennsylvania workers, was Donald J. Trump. And over 4 years of his leadership, we had a bigger boom for American manufacturing and American energy than we've seen. That benefits the people of Erie, Pennsylvania. We had rising take-home pay and rising wages under the leadership of Donald Trump, and we had a world that was at relative peace and calm. And now we've got a world at war in seemingly every continent. Who's going to fight those wars? I guarantee you, it's not going to be Kamala Harris's family. It's going to be the people right here from Erie, Pennsylvania. So we want peace, right? Peace and stability. But even bigger than that, we want an economy that employs good Pennsylvania workers to make things for people all over this country. And we want truckers to be empowered instead of throttled and to have their industry destroyed. It's very simple. And if we do that, we're going to make the lives of every single people in this room, every single person in this room, and all across the state of Pennsylvania better. And the final point that I make is, look, Rome wasn't built in a day, and Rome wasn't burned down in a day. We had so much success for just 4 years of Donald Trump's leadership. I think we're going to have a hell of a lot more with 4 more years of Donald J. Trump. Sir.
Hello, Senator. Thank you for coming to Erie today. I'm Tyler Gallagher. I'm with Jet 24 News here.
All right, man.
Erie's kind of had a declining economy and population. How's the Trump...
Hit the follow over there on Twitch and come back, dude. I like having these political conversations.
administration going to directly help the hardworking people of Erie, bring people back here, and create more jobs?
You know, it's pretty simple actually, but unfortunately we have a leadership that's completely broken. I mean, the first thing that you have to do if you want to help the people of Erie, Pennsylvania, is you have got to unleash American energy. It'll make manufacturing cheaper, it'll make trucking cheaper, it'll help everybody.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris embraced the mockery of biological women, kept the borders open, and got innocents killed. Embrace perversion into our culture and institutions. Trump 24. Embrace the mockery of biological women. Can you break that down for me? I'm trying to... That was a yawn from the dog. Yeah, maybe elaborate on that a little bit. I don't know. I'm with you on the borders.
Look at it, it's not just our businesses. I remember growing up in Middletown, Ohio, and I grew up in a poor family, and I was raised by my grandmother. I remember the nights when it was really cold in the dead of winter, and money was a little tight, and we decided, well, we don't have enough to turn on the heater tonight. We're going to have to sit in front of a space heater or maybe just throw a bunch of blankets on. And that's what we're going to do. I happen to believe that if you work hard and play by the rules, this is the richest country in the world. You ought to be able to turn on the heater for your children. And unfortunately, Kamala Harris's policies mean less energy, less money in people's pockets, and a lot of people freezing on a cold winter night. I think that's a disgrace in the richest country in the world. We can do so much better with better leadership. The second thing you got to do is, look, I talked about Chinese slave labor earlier. One of the reasons why this community has been left behind by our leaders is we decided we were going to let companies make things using Chinese slave labor. And I happen to think we shouldn't expect Americans to compete with a bunch of Chinese slave laborers. We ought to expect American companies to hire American and build in the United States of America. And if you do more of that, you're going to bring more jobs to Erie, Pennsylvania. You're going to build the economic foundation of this place. You're going to have higher tax revenues to go into the schools and the public services. You build more things in America, and it lifts up the entire community of Erie, Pennsylvania, and that's what Donald Trump and I are going to fight for. And then the final thing is, look, the number one issue when I go to places like Erie, Pennsylvania is inflation. The number two issue is, why did Kamala Harris open up the southern border and let these cartels bring in the poison that's killing our families? It's ridiculous. We got to stop doing this craziness. She said on day one she wanted to open up the border. She said on day one she wanted to suspend deportations. She said on day one she was going to end Donald Trump's Remain in Mexico policy. Donald Trump has a different message for illegal immigrants. Pack your bags, because in 6 months you're going home.
That's fact.
And when we do that, you're going to have fewer people dying of drug overdoses. You're going to have fewer people who are suffering because you've got drug cartels operating freely in their communities. You've just got to do it. You've got to close that border. It's good for public safety and a whole host of other things too.
I don't know what it is, but I'm not digging that tie. Clearly this dude does not want me to stream. I don't know what his deal is. What's wrong with the tie? Oh, hell. Come on, Tank. You fucked everything up. All right. Come on. Down. All right. Okay. All right. Just a major crash here. No big deal. All right, let me fix this. Oh, come on. Give me a second. I'm going to let him outside. The hell? Come on. Go. Is that the vicious dog from earlier? Yes, that is the clearly vicious dog that is just, he clearly just attacked me. I don't know what happened. He like slammed on my keyboard and then now it's like doing this weird thing. Let's see if I can fix it. There we go. Right? We back? Bring the volume back.
Media has turned this into a national news story. You know what I think our veterans care a lot more about? That Kamala Harris's VP nominee lied news story. You know what I think our veterans care a lot more about? That Kamala Harris's VP nominee lied about his military service. I think that our veterans care a lot more about that.
That boy.
And the other thing that our veterans care, a lot more about is that 3 years ago,
what'd I miss?
13 brave, innocent Americans died, and they died because Kamala Harris.
When did the Republicans become the party for the working class? Also, when did the Democrats become the party of war? That's what I was saying earlier in the stream. Everything that we have known for the longest time is a lie. Everything has changed. The only thing that I do know is that I'm looking over at YouTube and I got 5 likes. I don't know if it was the dog destroying my keyboard, but we're moving up. Is that the vicious dog from earlier? Yeah, that was definitely the vicious dog.
Refused to do her job, and there hasn't been a single firing. I don't look. Sometimes mistakes happen. That's just the nature of government, the nature of military service. But to have those 13 Americans lose their lives and not fire a single person is disgraceful. Kamala Harris is disgraceful. We're going to talk about a story out of those 13 brave, innocent Americans who lost their lives. It's that Kamala Harris is so asleep at the wheel that she won't even do an investigation into what happened, and she wants to yell at Donald Trump because he showed up. She can go to hell.
She can go to hell. That's what he said. All right. America.
Thank you, sir. One more. Any other questions here? Ma'am. Oh, sorry, debate prep. Look, the way I'm doing debate prep is by spending time with these fine people. This is how I do debate prep, is you get out there. You get out there, you talk to people, you talk about the issues that matter. We don't need to prepare for a debate with Tim Walz. We need to get out there and talk. We need to get out there.
It does seem more real when they're not like trying to find a less worse word.
Look, we need to get out there and talk to the American people. That's the biggest way that we're going to prepare for that debate on October the 1st. And I guess CBS is hosting it, right? So we got to be nice to her, ladies and gentlemen, because CBS is hosting the debate in a few weeks. Ma'am. That's right.
Is this on? Thank you, Senator. Surin Kim with ABC News. I have 2 questions for you as well.
Sure.
One is going back to Kit's question about Brian Kemp. Are you playing any role in facilitating any, are you playing any role in facilitating connections with Governor Brian Kemp or other Republican members? Bringing them back to the Trump world at all?
She's nervous.
My second question is, since becoming Trump's running mate, have you talked to former Vice President Mike Pence for any advice in campaigning? Have you connected with him, or have you talked to him about maybe him supporting President Trump?
So the first question, look, a lot of people have talked to Brian Kemp, and I'm proud to be among them. I think he's been a good governor for the state of Georgia. I certainly gave him a phone call. I think 150 other people have given Brian Kemp a phone call and talked about the need to have a unified Republican team. I don't take any special credit for it. I think a lot of people deserve more credit than I do, including the President of the United States, because I think President Trump has been very, very aggressive at trying.
Oh, yeah, what's going on? The camera needs to pan over and show us what's going on in the crowd.
Yes, sir. All right.
That's right. There we go. This stupid phone. I was trying to. There we go.
It's right. So humid in here. I thought we lost one of our Secret Service agents. I was worried about him, but we're good. God bless you, man. Glad you're okay. But look, the media. Here's what the media wants to tell a story that somehow I have been the peace broker between Brian Kemp and Donald Trump. It's just not true. I reached out to Brian Kemp. I encouraged him to support the president, and he didn't take much persuasion. He wanted to support the president because he thinks Kamala Harris is going to be a disaster. So I think there are a lot of friends. There are a lot of friends of Brian Kemp's and a lot of friends of the president's. I think a lot of people deserve credit for this unified Republican ticket. I'm not going to take that credit myself, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Senator
Yep.
Vance, Emma
Go
Barnett
ahead.
with NBC News. Thank you so much for taking all of our questions. 2 questions, one local one and one international one. First of all, what are some of the specific policies you would implement to improve the lives of truckers in Erie, Pennsylvania? And then also, last night, Israel launched the largest raid in the West Bank in at least 20 years. Should the Israelis ask for American boots on the ground from a Trump-Vance administration, would you oblige, and how would you respond to these current events?
I don't want to put American troops on the ground for anybody's wars but ourselves, right? That's a very important principle. And I say that, and I say that as somebody who believes that the Israelis have every right to destroy Hamas. We support them in what they're doing, but they're not asking. They're not asking for American boots on the ground. They can take care of business themselves. They just need a vice president or a president who allows them to do the job instead of trying to take Hamas's side over Israel's, which is not what Donald Trump and I are going to do. The first question was about, sorry, I forgot your first question.
The first question was about specific policies that would help
truckers.
Erie
Yep,
truckers.
that's good. That's right. So look, the most specific policy that we have to help the truckers of Erie, Pennsylvania is to fire Kamala Harris and to replace her with Donald Trump, right? That's what we need to do. She is the source of so much that's broken in this country. But look, I mean, you talk to truckers, there are 2 big things that I think we can do. First of all, there are a lot of people who would like to be truckers, and our education system is trying to force everybody to go get a 4-year college degree. There are a lot of truckers out there who make a lot more money and have a lot better job than 4-year college degree holders. Let people do what they want to do and have an education system that empowers people to make their own choices for their own lives instead of forcing them to do what Kamala Harris wants them to do. That's number 1. Number 2, you talk to our truckers, what is the biggest cost that they have, the biggest increase? We ask them right there, they're all saying fuel in unison. Fuel has gone up, depending on where you are, between 35 and 55%, thanks to the policies of Kamala Harris. We have got to drill, baby, drill, unleash American energy. It'll help our truckers. It's going to help everybody else, too. And I'll take one more question before we hit the road.
J.D. Vance just got my vote for saying that. What did he say?
Senator Vance.
Great.
How has your military service and being a veteran prepared you to A, be a senator and potentially vice president of these United States?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. Well, I am a United States Marine, and I'm proud of it, and I did what my country asked me to do. And look, I'd say the Marine Corps gave me 2 perspectives. Number 1, what's great about the Marine Corps is whether you're a 19-year-old kid or a 23-year-old fresh out of college or a 45-year-old who's been in the Marine Corps for 25 years, the Marine Corps demands that you occupy positions of leadership.
Yep.
And it lets you make mistakes, and it teaches you how to improve from those mistakes. But the Marine Corps is the first taste I got of real leadership, and that's the most important quality in a vice president. You got to be able to lead people, okay?
He doesn't believe the U.S. putting boots on the ground except for wars we're in only. He doesn't believe in the U.S. putting boots on the ground, which, yeah, I'd be for that. We don't need to go to another war for sure.
That's what the Marine Corps taught me. The second thing I'd say is it gives me a fresh perspective on the problems that a lot of our military families and a lot of our troops are facing. And one thing I learned in the Marine Corps is perhaps the most precious resource that we have in this country is the lives of our young people who put on the uniform and are willing to sacrifice it all for the United States of America. That is a precious, precious resource, a sacred. And it really is a sacred thing. I mean, you've got kids, some of the kids I served with in the Marine Corps, you had a guy, a Puerto Rican guy who grew up in poverty in the Bronx. I had a guy who grew up in a rich family in the suburbs of Maryland. We had my background. We had a kid who grew up from California. You meet people from all over this beautiful country, and they all are united by a common objective. And that's an amazing thing. That's really a sacred obligation that the president and the vice president has to take care of those people. And yes, sometimes you've got to send them to mess things up and fix the American people's business, but you only do it when you have to. And you treat that resource with care. And
That LT is getting lost in land nav. Yeah, absolutely. As a crusty technical sergeant, I can tell you for sure that LT is quite lost.
When, as Kamala Harris let happen, you let 13 people die because you screwed up and didn't do your job, you at least got to have an investigation and figure out what went wrong so you don't do it the next time. You got to respect the troops, and that's the number one thing I take from my time in the United States Marine Corps. And when I say respect, I don't just mean thank them. I don't mean just buy them a beer when you see them at a bar. That stuff is all important. I mean respect them enough to actually take care of them and not waste their lives and their sacrifice, which is what, unfortunately, the last administration has done. Now, let me just leave you with one final thought. We have to hit the road, and I'm sorry to have to leave because I've had a good time, and I hope you all have had some fun too. But you all in Pennsylvania are going to get sick of me over the next 2 months because I practically live here in the state of Pennsylvania because this is such an important state for us. Thank you, sir. I will. And we got to remember, the only way, think of all the powerful interests, the broken bureaucracy in this country, the people who've gotten rich shipping your jobs to China, they want Kamala Harris. The only way to beat them and the only way to fight back is at the ballot box this November. Let's get out there, win Pennsylvania, re-elect Donald Trump, and take this country back. God bless you all. Thank you.
All right. There it is. So I was a little bit interrupted there by my dog, but you know, shit happens, I guess. Increase vet assistance instead of immigration benefits. Hell yeah, I could use some benefits. I could use some benefits for sure. I'm still waiting on my glasses, man. I went, last week I think it was. They gotta mail my glasses. These are not great. I'm gonna get the VA specials, and hopefully they're gonna be a lot better than the military specials. All right, so I do want to watch Waltz's speech. I think that's pretty much all I had for today, unless something's going on right now. I'm gonna check one more time, make sure they're not doing a White House press brief. They didn't throw a curveball at me. I gave up on all that and went online to get my glasses. Did you have a lot of issues when you tried to mess with the VA when you got out? I know it's frustrating. It's free though. That's mainly why I went. It's free. I got a free eye exam and free glasses. I think they only give you one pair though. So I'll probably still take my VA prescription and maybe go buy some too. But I figure I'm saving money by at least getting the prescription. They wouldn't do contacts though. I asked them, I'm like, hey, can you give me a contact prescription? You have to actually have something wrong with your eyes for them to give you a contact prescription. Which makes sense, I guess. That's okay. So yeah, no White House press briefing again. I don't know what's up with them. I don't know what's going on. It was horrible, especially since I was the reserves. It was easier to use my employer insurance than working with the VA. That's sad. That's really sad. I mean, I get it. Because even me, like, making an appointment, it was very far out. Like, I've waited a while just to get a eye appointment. That took a while, like many months. And then I had a dental appointment too, but they canceled it on me and rescheduled it for like another 2 months out. So hopefully I get that eventually. free though, you know. You get what you pay for. All right, so let me get this one. All right, so here is Tim Walz. He is in Boston at a firefighters union on his campaign trail here. So let's go ahead and hear what he has to say. Oh, got me with the music. I had to turn it off, right?
Morning.
There we go.
I know you got a lot of important business to get through this week, but I do want to say how grateful I am and what a privilege it is to stand in front of this group. Thank you, President Kelly. Thank you for every single day advocating for the 350,000 heroes that you know that you represent with passion. And to General Secretary Treasurer Lima, thank you. This is an incredible leadership team. I got to use a point of personal privilege and a shout out to your 5th District VP from Bethel, Minnesota resident, Tom Thornburg. Tom, it's great to always see you.
We haven't heard from him in a while, actually.
And every delegate in this room representing your 350,000 of your membership. Look, you got busy jobs, you got families. You travel here to do the important work of understanding. I'll often have people tell me, look, I'm really not that into politics. My response to that is too damn bad. Politics is into you. And if you're not here advocating for that, if you're not here advocating for the messages, it's hard to get it done. So as a card-carrying member of my state teachers union, I feel very proud of that. I saw the other day I got attacked by the...
By who?
I got attacked by the Wall Street Journal for being richer than my disclosure says because I have 2 defined benefit pension plans.
Is he red and sweaty? Did he have a medium heat taco? I get it from his video with Kamala where he was playing into the white guy card. Ooh, I can't have anything spicy. Oh no. God, that video was entirely cringe. The only way it would have been actually a good video if they had Kamala Harris come out with like a bucket of chicken just to match his energy. That would have been great.
Seems like that's a little different than Google stock that was handed to you, but that's what we did. So maybe a few more of us should be dues-paying members. But I can promise you this. When Vice President Harris and I win this election, we'll have your back just like you've had ours this entire time. And just as I've done as governor and just as the vice president has done, I look forward to working hand in hand with you to deliver for the locals back home because that's what really matters. But if you'd bear with me, it's a privilege to be in front of this group, but I have to say it's also personal. The Minnesotans know this, and some of you in this room might know. Last year, we lost one of our bravest firefighting heroes, and I personally lost a dear friend. Chris Parsons was fire captain from St. Paul. He worked closely with us and was president of the Minnesota Professional Firefighters. Chris was 6'7", stood out in any crowd, but it's hard to imagine his personality was bigger than that 6'7".
I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I heard that Kamala Harris will only do an interview if Walz is with her. Really?
He was
I haven't heard of
the
that.
most generous and kind and funny individual that I had ever met. One conversation with that guy would make your entire day better. Tragically, we lost Chris in the line of duty. It's kind of heartbreak that no family and no community should have to endure, because every hero deserves to come home at the end of every shift. And know this, we see your noble courage. We're forever grateful to you for going above and beyond to keep all of us safe. And we're committed to building a future that you and your families deserve. As Minnesota's governor, I was proud to bolster resources for firefighter training.
So this is what you're probably talking about here. I'm going to move it over like that. It says, actually, it's from the BBC. So it says, why is Harris bringing Walz to her first major interview? And let's see what it actually has to say. 3 weeks ago, just days after being formally chosen as a Democratic presidential nominee, Harris was pressed on her plans for a sit-down interview. Yeah, we haven't seen anything about her doing an interview yet. It says, I've talked to my team, she told reporters on the airport tarmac in Detroit. I want us to get an interview scheduled before the end of the month. Why don't you just do one now? You've been around all these reporters. Why don't you just stop by and take questions? God, this stuff frustrates me so much. On Thursday night, Miss Harris will just barely make good on that promise, sitting down with CNN's Dana Bash. Okay, Thursday night. Okay, so that's tomorrow, right? What is today? Wednesday? Crap, I don't even know. Yeah, today's Wednesday. So tomorrow, she's actually going to do her first interview, and I'm sure it's going to be a full-on CNN goodness. But Miss Harris will not be there by herself. The vice president will be joined by her running mate, Tim Walz, which is weird. Why does she need Tim Walz there to do an interview? I don't get that. What's the point of that? I think it's incredibly weak sauce to show up with your running mate, said Scott Jennings. Like, she needs him to back her up in the interview. Doesn't that contradict everything they're trying to say about Kamala Harris, about she's like the strong woman and she doesn't need this dude to help her? I don't know, man. I don't get this. This whole thing's stupid.
In education, to invest in the equipment and the facilities to keep you safe, and to sign the most comprehensive fighter well-being legislation in the nation. The resiliency to do this job is incredible. The physical toll it takes on your body, but the emotional toll and the time away from your family. We understand that, and putting the resources into it is absolutely critical. That's why I'm honored to be on a ticket with someone else who has long supported your essential work. As a native Californian, Vice President Harris knows explosive, dangerous, and unpredictable nature of wildfires in that state. She's been to the memorials, knows.
She needs him for a scapegoat? Yeah, he looks like a scapegoat. He looks like the fall guy for sure.
The depth of sacrifice that you and your families go through. In fact, it's a matter of family for her. The Vice President's brother-in-law, Andy Emhoff, spent his career as a firefighter in Santa Cruz, California, and retired as an IAFF member in good standing. And as California Attorney General, and as Frank can attest, Kamala Harris sued the big banks for mismanaging your state's pension fund. And when she won, she returned hundreds of millions of dollars to firefighters and other public workers and to their families. As vice president, she cast the deciding vote on the American Rescue Plan, which helped keep workers on the job. And I'll say this, it kept the public safe during the pandemic, and it let local fire departments hire, train, and retain more of the firefighters that we needed. And under her leadership, the administration gave much-needed raises to more than 11,000 federal firefighters. When we're in office, we'll make sure you have all the resources and protections you need to do your jobs, and your service is respected, and that you come home safe every night. We know exactly who built this country. It's people like the folks in this room, firefighters, police officers, construction trades, teachers and nurses and veterans who contributed their contributions to our nations long after they got out of military service. It was you who built the middle class. And we know that when unions are strong, America's strong. Look, this is the time of year that talk is cheap. But that's why Vice President Harris is proudly part of the most pro-labor administration in history, unafraid to walk picket lines with workers demanding better pay and conditions. And that's why she rescued pensions of more than 1 million of our union sisters and brothers.
Did he hit a tanning bed? His eyes are really white. Yeah, he looks a little bit darker. He could have just been out in the sun, though. Didn't she want to replace cops with social workers? Yeah, that was her platform, but now she's against that. She's the flip-flopper, man. Flip-flopping on every issue. That's why I want her to actually put her plans on her website so she can't flip-flop anymore.
Workers and retirees, and insisted that prevailing wage jobs spring from federal investments. It's your construction brothers and sisters know that one. It's that same spirit that animated my fight for labor in Minnesota. As governor, I signed one of the biggest packages of pro-worker policies in history into law, making it easier for workers to form unions, strengthening worker protections, and banning captive audience meetings.
He looks red just around his mouth. Kind of like he was eating something spicy.
Today, Minnesota is one of the best states for workers in the nation. And guess what? It's one of the best states for business. You don't have to choose between protecting workers and protecting business. They go hand in hand. That's Vice President's and my vision for the entire country. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, they have something a little different in mind. The only thing these guys know about working people is how to take advantage of them, how to not pay them. Every single chance they've gotten, they've waged a war on workers and the ability to collectively bargain. When it comes to so-called right-to-work laws that deprive unions of funds they need, Donald Trump has said he supports right to work 100%. Everybody in this room knows right to work means right to work for less, right to work more dangerously, right to work for no pensions. It doesn't mean the ability to collectively bargain to fight with the dignity that work brings to each and every one of us.
Ketchup must have been too spicy for him today. Looks like it.
Look, I'll keep saying it. Words are cheap. Actions is all you should care about. Make sure you're counting on what was delivered. When Donald Trump was president, he blocked overtime benefits for millions of workers. He opposed efforts to raise the minimum wage, and he even proposed slashing budgets for federal fire service programs. Those are just simply facts. But look, it's not just what they've done, it's what they're gonna do. This is the big thing. One of the goals of their Project 2025 is to screw the middle class.
How about you put some policies on your website so people know actually what you want to do? You can criticize Trump all you want, say that he's doing all these bad things, but at least he's upfront and has his policies on his website. At least he's telling you what he wants to do, unlike you guys who want to hold all your secrets until you're elected.
Making it harder for workers to collectively bargain, allowing employers to drastically cut overtime or eliminate it, slash taxes for the ultra-wealthy by imposing a national sales tax on the rest of us. Look, I've said this, I'm an old-time football coach. If you draw up a playbook, you plan on using it. All
right, where's your playbook? Come on, coach. Let us know what the plays are. Is your playbook just to bash him and say that he is part of Project 25? That's your plan? That's not going to work. That's not going to get you votes, man. There we are with the Project 2025 keyword. Exactly. He's just talking about Project 25. What about your plan? Not only does Trump have his own plan, but he's also got another plan. Apparently, he's got two plans before you got one plan.
2025 is a plan to reshape what America looks like, moving away from the middle class and putting it right back on the oligarchs and the wealthy at the top. He said he's going to repeal the Affordable Care Act. That thing is pre-existing conditions. Those are things that make sure that our family gets health care. And for many of our families, and I know you don't get to participate in it, but your families do, my mom does, Social Security and Medicare are life-saving programs for them. Instead of funding those programs, they talk about cutting them. So here, this is what I always say. If you got $1 billion, you don't give a damn if your Social Security check shows up. But if you're like my mom, that's how you pay for your food. That's how you pay for your heat. That's how things get done. So that check, pretty damn important to protect it.
My God.
Again, use their own words. This is a guy who told his friends down at Mar-a-Lago, and this is a direct quote. Look, all of you are rich as hell. We're going to give you a tax cut, while telling workers that wages are too high. That says it all. And again, if you're confused on where you're going to go, think about what impacts you, your life, and your family the most. So let me tell you exactly what Vice President Harris and I will do when we...
Trump never said he wanted to cut Social Security. Yeah, I know. He never said he was a part of Project 25 either. He never said he wanted to cut Medicare or any of these programs that they're talking about. That's why these debates are so important. We need to actually have a debate. I believe it's supposed to take place on the 10th. And then when they pull out all of these lies, we can actually throw some witty comments about them, or Trump can during the debates, and deflect all the BS.
We get elected. As president, then President Harris will sign the PRO Act, making it easier for unions to organize. We'll protect Safer Grant program.
It's amazing how they can just lie. Yeah, especially in a time where everything is on video and people still believe it.
It's good to see you say this. If you have to spend any time thinking if you want to support the PRO Act, that pretty much tells you where you're at, because that's a pretty easy one. Same thing with the Safer Grant program. We know it's essential to helping serve and protect communities, especially as we starting to see intensive heat waves. We'll keep fighting to protect your retirement benefits, lowering taxes for working families, and finally making corporations just pay their fair share. They're doing fine. They're doing fine. They can pay their fair share. And again, things like Social Security, things like the GI Bill, programs that make a difference, paid family and medical leave, affordable child care so you can go do your job. That just makes sure that families aren't just surviving and getting by, but they're thriving and getting ahead. I talked about that idea of defined benefit pension plans. They complained that I had 2 defined benefit pension plans.
Is he taking credit for the GI Bill? Because he's just rambling off all of these social programs that have existed for a long time. And not even the GI Bill. That's not even like a social program. That's for the military. But he's just rambling off all these programs. It really reminds me of that Family Guy episode where Lois is running for office and she just gets up there and says 9/11 and everybody just cheers. It's like NPCs. Like they're not even saying anything. They're just saying, "Ooh, GI Bill, let's go." Come on.
In 1980, 60% of people had defined benefit pension plans. The middle class was strong. Today, 4% have it, and they're trying to take those.
And he sounds like he's bragging. Yeah, but you can't claim the GI Bill, bro. Like, it doesn't work like that. Do you think we will go back to fighting in Afghanistan? God, I hope not. I hope we're done, man. I hope we already pulled out, even if it was really terrible. Are you going to be streaming the debate? Absolutely. The VP debates, the presidential debates, if they can finally agree to it, yes, I'm going to stream that shit because I think it's going to be hilarious. As soon as they start pulling off this Project 25 stuff, and Trump's going to shut them down. Them not having a plan is hurting them so much. You can't run for president and not have a plan. This is like a sitcom. How can people vote for you and you don't have a plan?
Goes away from us. You change the middle class by investing in the middle class. We're proud of the plan that we put forward.
What plan?
Again, Donald Trump trying to hide from that Project 2025 plan. They're going to use it. They're going to use it. It's written out. They know what's there. And look, they're not going to wait a few years to do it. They're going to get an opportunity to do it. So we know what it is. Donald Trump doesn't.
I don't know. Most white savior liberals don't seem to care about no plan. How could you not care? God, it kills me. How can you vote? I mean, it has to be they hate Trump. That's the only thing I can think of. They hate Trump. They are thoroughly convinced that he's a white supremacist and that they cannot vote for such evil. So they're going to go with the people who don't even have a plan for the country. That has to be it. That's the only way I can justify it.
Doesn't want to tell you what's in there. You can look for yourself. You can see what they're trying to do. They go on TV. They deny it. They say that he's not being treated fairly. These are their words. They put it on paper. They're telling you what they're going to do. Kamala Harris, She's ready to
vote blue no matter who. Stupid.
hold him accountable on the debate stage.
How about no?
Tell me you're not looking forward to that. Look, I know you're busy. You're going to be watching Monday Night Football or something. But it's going to be good. It's going to be good because, again, as I said this is going to impact you. The things that are said on that debate stage are going to impact your retirement. They're going to impact your kids' education. They're going to impact infrastructure. These are things that matter to us. So look, some of you in here, and I'm going to say this because I know we're bipartisan, some of the gray hairs in here, I know what you're thinking. And I remember it too because it's my family. When Republicans used to talk about freedom, they meant it. They meant it. Not anymore. These guys over there, they want government to have the freedom to invade every corner of your life, from our union halls to our kids' schools, even our doctor's office. Vice President and I, we got a little bit different vision of this. We believe that you, not politicians, should be made free to make your own health care choices. We believe that workers deserve to collectively bargain for fair wages, safe working conditions, good health care, and secure retirement. No interference from government.
Says the people who want to outlaw free speech. Absolutely.
As a union member, our union halls are the purest form of democracy. The opportunity to speak your mind, elect leadership, speak
your mind. Meanwhile, they are trying to censor everybody. Meanwhile, Biden's campaign was definitely trying to censor Meta. They literally came out 2 days ago with a memo saying that the Biden administration forced them into censorship. That's not your open town hall. That's not free speech. I don't know what they're trying to champion here.
what you want on your platform and then go advertise or go advocate for it. That's how democracy is supposed to work. These are folks that want to make it difficult to do that. Little things. We should be able to make sure that government is there to make sure that corporations have to keep our air and water clean. You can make money and still protect water and protect air. We believe that people should be free to get a good education that puts them into the middle class, not crippling debt for a lifetime. And we believe that our kids should be free to go to school without worrying about being shot dead in their halls. Now, I want to say something about this. I know guns. I'm a 24-year veteran. I'm a hunter. I was one of the best shots in Congress, and I got the trophies to prove it. I could outshoot them every year. But I'm not going to stand by and let someone say that this is about the Second Amendment when our first responsibility is protection of our kids. It is not a false choice. We can have and protect the Second Amendment and keep guns out of our schools that are killing our kids and do things right.
How are you going to do that? Oh, you won't tell us.
That stuff's common sense. Vice President Harris brings that to the White House. That's a future we can build together. We don't have to go to every damn family gathering and fight about things that we mostly agree.
24-year-old vet who only shot to qualify every year. And the security forces guys probably just pushed him along.
We don't have to find ways to divide us, and we can have legitimate policy discussions.
He's the guy that shot the other target that helped the other guy qualify down the range.
That differ on issues but come to common goals. And on issues of labor rights, of middle class rights, of paying your fair share, of cutting taxes for the middle class, we're going to need you with us to win that fight. So I'd ask all of you, I am a former football coach, and I give halftime speeches all the time. But I do have to admit this. I know I'm in Red Sox country. Go Twins. So I'm going to try a baseball analogy, people, so bear with me.
Oh,
Game 7 of the World Series. We're down a couple runs, but we got the rally hats on. We got runners on base, and our heavy hitters are on deck.
I'm worried they will go back there next, pretending to save women, but making no money on war. Yeah, I don't think a war decision, like actual boots on the ground, would be very popular with the people here, especially when everybody's struggling to just get by, and they're going to start another war. Yeah, they would need to have a major incident, probably in America, for something like that to happen. So look, I'm trying to watch this guy. I'm trying to give him a fair shot. Tim Walz, he's just not likable. He's not a likable guy. He tries so hard to be relatable. Oh, football. Da, 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 da. And it's like, bro, you seem sleazy. I don't like you.
We got the hometown going wild. Sisters and brothers in labor, it's time for you to step up to the plate. We've got 69 days to win this thing, 69 days to protect labor rights.
69 days and you still have not published your policies on what you want to do.
69 days to do things that we know people who have laid their life on the line, like Chris Parsons, to protect this as a public service and are simply asking to be treated fairly. That's what we get to do. On that 70th day, we wake up and know that the policies that positively impact you are going to become law. That's what we have to believe. So I'll tell you what, our hitters are coming up. It's you. This is a vision about the possibility of America. This is the vision about a positive America. This is a vision about what we can do.
I'd rather trust the excuse my teenager gives me for the dent in the car than what Wall says is true. Exactly. Like, you can just listening to him, like, you immediately, like, your brain goes off like, oh no, that's a lie. I've actually looked into this. I've done research. That's a lie. And he thinks people aren't going to catch that. It's just straight up just lying.
Together. And the reason that I feel so good is knowing that the heavy hitters in this room are coming up next is you know how to fight. That's all you know how to do. That's all you've had to do.
Now I'm going to appeal to you, right? You're just a fighter. You guys are the best, but you got to get out there and vote for me, right?
Every step of the way to improve this profession and to bring people into it.
Manipulation.
So as the next president of the United States always says, when we fight, we win. Thank you all.
What about the people who fight and they lose? Just saying. Like, what about the people, you know, like, you're fighting, obviously two people, right, are fighting. One of them has to lose. I don't really get their analogy. When we fight, we win. What if you don't? I don't know. These people make me into a Republican. I'm not a Republican. I'm really not. I'm really not a Republican. But they make me. They make me be a Republican. I voted for Obama. I really did. I promise. The lady care. All are welcome. No questions, seems part of the course for the Dems. Exactly, they didn't even take questions. I didn't even notice that, man. They don't take questions. What the hell? They literally could have took questions from the firefighters. They were there. Why didn't they take questions? They never take questions. Never. We even take single cat ladies. What about married dog dudes? Like this guy, who really wants me to take him outside. Right. Right. You telling me? Them too? Okay. All right. I guess I qualify. Well, it's been fun. Clearly, my dog needs to play catch. So I'm going to take him outside. Cook some steaks for when the wife gets home. I'm going to throw them on the Traeger. Get some nice smoke going on them and then sear them really good. But for sure, I got to mess with this dog. He's looking at me like, what the hell, dude? Dude, you gotta play with me. I'm bored. Today's not the day to be streaming. That's what he said to me. Yeah. All right. I'm going to go play catch. Y'all have a great day. I'm going to try and make it back tomorrow. Maybe they're going to have a White House press briefing tomorrow. It's been like a week or longer since they've actually done one. So hopefully tomorrow they actually do one. Women's rights is going to be huge. They will wrap up these wars soon and looking for a new fight. Yeah, I think the women's right issue is going to be the big one for this election, to be honest. The Roe versus Wade going back to the States was not a good look for Trump, no matter how he tries to spin it. I've been saying that for a while. Thanks for sharing a space to discuss. Got to catch a new subscriber. Yeah, definitely come back. Come back. We'll do a discussion. I try to run through all the rallies to see what the people are saying. We try to decipher if they're telling lies or not. I try to fact check, see if they're lying. I'm pretty sure we caught JD Vance in a lie today. I didn't actually fact check anything Tim Walz says. I think we're just kind of frustrated with some of the things that he said that are obviously not true. Yeah, that's the plan. All right, I'm going to take him outside, play some catch. Y'all be good.